Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. And we are here today talking about our favorite subject, blockchain and fintech, two areas that we talk about heavily here on VCTV. And all of us on today's panel love, breathe, eat, and talk about constantly. So you've got some of the best and the brightest here to share with you what's going on in these industries today. As we know, things continue to happen on a millisecond basis. These are not day-by-day changes. These are not week-by-week. These are millisecond type changes in this industry as news comes across at all times in all different regions around the world, because these areas of technology are impacting so many parts of our lives and so many different industries at the same time. And as we do here on this episode, I love to read off some big headlines. And one of the biggest is PayPal. PayPal went from, hey, we're PayPal, you know us, we've been around for a while, to, hey, we've decided to catch up to everybody else and offer digital currency purchases. Oh, by the way, you can't do it till 2021. To then all of a sudden pulling a 180 and saying, wait, happy holidays. Here you go. You can do this now. To then this morning, why we were a few minutes late today, because they decided to re-up the amount, increase the amount that the average consumer will be able to purchase. This is huge. And it's huge because it opens up the gateway to commerce and how people may spend and look at digital currencies in the future, which plays into CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, which we've got a few big announcements as well in, which plays into as well the future of applications, decentralized and distributed applications. All of this plays, again, back into fintech and blockchain. Tons to talk about. I'll pause there. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Before we get started, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, click subscribe. Do send us comments if you have any thoughts, what we should talk about further. But also, if you'd like to be on a show like today, do reach out. We'd love to have you join us as investors on a panel like today or on other topics, industries or regions around the world, for you to share your thoughts and insights. Entrepreneurs. I just talked about some really cool headlines. Company that was old as time came back and decided to enter into a new market, which means it's never too late, which also means it's never too late for you here as we're wrapping up the year to join on our virtual stage at VCTV to pitch us as investors your company, product, or service to get real-time feedback from us, along with building foundational relationships with each of us as investors and get exposure to the entire live audience. What's better than that? Do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right set for you. And with that being said, a big thank you to our entire team at LATOKEN, along with Maria and everyone else who helps make VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Happy holidays. And before we get started, happy Diwali. Anuj, you're up first today. If you can, kick us off, a little introduction, a little background.
Thank you so much, mate. And happy Diwali to you, to all the viewers, the entire team of LATOKEN, and to everyone watching. Happy Diwali, guys. I know it's been a rough year, but it's the year we pray to the goddess of wealth to give us all that luxury, all that money. So let's keep our fingers crossed and let's look forward to 2021. With that being said, introducing myself, I am Anuj. I'm the founder of Yellow Sapphire Technologies. Along with it, I'm also the founder of Autotum, and I'm an international partner at World Business Angel Forum, where we are working to promote global financial inclusivity. It's a G20 initiative to promote entrepreneurship across the world. I'm also actively working with fintech companies across the world, in Israel, in Bangladesh, and in Indonesia. And that's pretty much it from my side. So back to you, mate.
I love it. Welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you. I know you're joining us on this very special day as well, so we really do appreciate your time. But with that being said, next up, Sadie, welcome. First on the show today. She was the very first one in pre-show. All of us were late, but Sadie was on time. So Sadie, welcome back. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Sure, Kyle, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here again. I am the COO and co-founder of Strix Leviathan. That's Strix Leviathan. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, so say it twice. We are a group of companies actually in the digital asset space. We focus mainly on building software for trading actively in the digital asset space. That's how we started. We built a really robust end-to-end trading platform that we then rolled out to manage our own crypto focused hedge funds. And we've been doing that for the last 2.5 years and having a lot of fun with it. Got some exciting things in the pipeline that I'm hopefully be able to unveil on the show in the next couple months. We are based in Seattle, Washington, and I spend most of my time in Barcelona, well, between Barcelona and Seattle. And in Barcelona, I'm also involved in the Barcelona Technology Transfer Group, where I work with ESA University and the startups in the program, focused on deep tech, nanotech, graphene, et cetera. And I mentor teams in that program. So keep myself pretty busy.
Wonderful. Welcome. Can't wait for those updates. It was definitely a good tease here, but we'll talk a little bit, hopefully, about some of those here sooner than later. Irina, to you, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you. A little intro and a little background. Plus, I know you have something to shamelessly promote, which I will throw to you as it's related to today's topic. So go for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Irina Litchfield, many know me as a crypto superwoman. It's such a pleasure to be here as always. I've been preparing for our global, which is innovation conference that we are holding in person. It is a private invite-only gathering. People are applying to join. Obviously, network of friends are coming and people, and my time has been with that. So I've missed you guys so much. I only had like 3 episodes this week. It's unacceptable. So good to see everyone. It feels like it's been years, so I'm a founder of Blockchain Cubed. Blockchain Cubed is a blockchain integration company. It's a consulting firm. We can do everything from technical design and integration to integration into the industry, to strategy, and basically everything to do with blockchain. I've been in the business for almost 8 years, so it allows me to have some interesting insight on actually how to integrate and make things work. Financial technology, for the most part, is what excites me, and I'm president of Lumeria, and Lumeria is space where innovation meets capital, or capital meets innovation. And we were working with growth stage companies that were usually mature, but because of amazing news that happened here in America, and I'm sure I'll talk today about it, we now are starting to work and integrate and prepare earlier stage companies. And it's just so exciting. The democratization of opportunities is happening faster than I was hoping.
Absolutely, which is so exciting. And we will get to that here in just a moment. But before we do, last but not least, Noble, welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little introduction, or a little background.
Hey, good to see everybody. My name is Noble Dracone. I'm managing partner of Dracone Capital Partners. I've been in the investment space for going on 26 years, I guess. I've written 7 books on investing, trading, futures, options, currency trading. Right now, I'm also an advisor for maccelerator.la, in which we work with as kind of an incubator hybrid where we help companies kind of develop and grow. We have a mandate where we set up a venture fund. We're raising $15 million to assist 300 diverse group of founders over the next 3 years at the seed level. Anywhere from 50 to 100,000. And for the most part, blockchain is key. I'm also the CEO of Where Play Games, which is a mobile gaming company. It's kind of what dragged me back into the industry period of the last 4 or 5 years. And we focus on mobile applications around augmented reality, virtual reality, and then how blockchain is a significant part of gaming as well as just day-to-day life. So we're very excited, and we're loving what's going on with blockchain and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, in a big way. So there's some exciting things we're doing in the NFT space, and look forward to talking to everybody.
Wonderful, and welcome everyone. And let's just dive right in. I mean, Noble, let's kick it off back to you. What is the current state, and what are you seeing currently happening in the blockchain and fintech space? I mentioned in the introduction that things are changing on a millisecond basis, and you bring up NFTs in gaming, our daily lives. I mean, these are things where we're starting to see that activity, and a lot of this technology either be a part of our lives or maybe a part of lives, but we never know about it. What are you seeing in terms of the current state from your standpoint?
Well, I think there's two things running in parallel. I believe that there is the Wild West component of blockchain, in which you have developers, creators, the people who are really much on the, I would almost say, anti-government side of things, right? They wanted the money to be equal, everybody to have equal access, everyone to be a part of it. And now we also see the co-opting of blockchain by major institutions who have kind of ignored it, poo-pooed it, but JP Morgan now is aggressively pushing forward. And Diamond at one point was, oh, blockchain will never go anywhere. It's the worst thing ever. It's a Ponzi scheme. And now they're full all in and full bore. So you see central banks starting to realize that it's actually an efficient way to transfer money among countries. So there's been a direct shot across the bow of Ripple, which they built their whole entire business on the SWIFT protocol. And now people are realizing that they can do it directly using their own internal blockchains. You're seeing all this activity around the central banks trying to create their version. They said, well, why have individual companies create stable coins? And we can just, central banks can just deliver the coin directly. And now you have a stable coin. So you have this very aggressive attack by the governments to figure out a way to participate and to just change the conversation with money, to be honest, with what is the medium exchange? Do we really need to continue to print the presses? You know, people kind of ignored the fact that when COVID started, the US government was trying to figure out a way to create quote unquote stimulus checks, not by delivering or sending money or cash or printing the presses, but delivering actual crypto to people as a way for them to spend during the stimulus moment. That's a big shift in the mentality of the government period on how they should interact with crypto, that they are really thinking about utilizing as a medium of exchange so that people, so they didn't have to print the presses. So there's really going a big revolution happening. We just saw the Silk Road funds get tracked, where there's over $1 billion now in the hands of the IRS. There's a big article about that a couple of days ago, of cash that's just been accumulating in Bitcoin. And the concern is that if this is released into the wild, it'll have a huge impact in the recent run-up of Bitcoin. So you have all this stuff that's migrating and bubbling up for the last basically almost 10 years of what was considered underground now becoming mainstream. The biggest concern that I have is that when you start having an intersection of the government with what was supposed to be an egalitarian event where people can actually trade and exchange and monetize, the question really is, blockchain is fully trackable. There's no hiding of what moves and what changes. So the initial dream of you being able to have privacy actually has disappeared completely. And that's always the issue. What is privacy? Is it okay not having privacy? And is it okay to be tracked in everything you do? And I really like the idea that people are separating now fiat from assets. And that's why the non-fungible token space is really exciting for me, in which you're creating these individual items. You're taking art, you're taking collectibles, and you're making them separate and devoid of tracking the numbers. I've been in currency trading since 1994, 1995. Mm-hmm. And it was so interesting to see all the currencies disappear from all the different countries when the euro folded everything up. And now all of a sudden we've gotten even worse than it was ever when every country had a currency, because now every company has a currency. It's crazy.
Well, they say every company is going to be a fintech company, or every company wants to be a fintech company. And there's so much power behind that. It sounds like a funny statement now, but I mean, the power, as you said, if every company has its own currency, and then every person has their own currency, and every item has its own, or every physical asset has its own currency, or is its own currency, and that changes things very, very dramatically, and not as much as you know, revolutionizes everything we know about a financial market, but it brings what was once physical to now digital. And that one digital thing can be replicated anywhere at any time. It's no longer physically constrained, which is super exciting. And we've talked about that, but we'll hold on that thought, because we could go for hours, you and I, and in some of our discussions. But with that, Irina, to you, current state, what are you seeing as things have grown and developed? I mean, you're putting on a conference around this. You're also seeing and living and breathing this with Blockchain Cube. How are you seeing this industry really transform currently?
Well, what I'm seeing is, finally the beginning of the era of integration for this technology. We have tested things during last growth cycle. We have broken some things. We've proven things were to work. We had time during during the deflation period to really integrate and see and really take time to see what's going to work. And now it's a go time. So we do know technology. We understand it very well. And most importantly, we understand the benefits of this technology in integration of traditional finance. And I know it's not the most popular subject for people from, the crypto industry, which is my industry, right? But it is very important because democratization of opportunities doesn't just come from this permissionless transfers. It actually makes a big effect on our lives through kind of a top level application, right? So making securities, move faster and much cheaper makes surprisingly difference for people in Africa, right? And my keynote, shameless plug, in my keynote, I mentioned a taxi driver from Africa. She's a woman and she is driving and she believes she can create alpha because she read about some space company on Reddit that is in Israel. With blockchain technology application, we can make that a reality and a regulated reality. And that to me is beautiful. And that's the hope and everything else going under that. And so now that's a blockchain technology, but also now we're seeing a crazy time of DeFi, right? And it's interesting because DeFi is a new term now. It's taken a pattern. It used to be all DeFi. That's what we were. We were decentralized finance. But what's amazing to me is that now we're starting to see these compartments, right? So it was a Bitcoin. Now we called it blockchain. Now then we separated the cryptocurrency and blockchain. And now we're adding this DeFi. And it really is just a separate thing from what blockchain application is kind of like the blockchain technology is becoming almost decoupled from that, right? Because you do not need blockchain for decentralized finance. There's other technologies that can be used. And so to me, that's what we're seeing. It's happening across the border. Governments are going at it. And of course, financial technology innovation is kind of the fastest application, I think, for blockchain.
And thank you, Irina. Sadie, to you, current state, what are you seeing from your view of the world right now, whether it be in Europe or just in general from Seattle as well?
Yeah, I think for us, the pace of change and innovation and news right now is just kind of astounding. I think when we first started, we felt like everything was changing constantly, and now that feels slow. I mean, I remember when I first started in the industry a few years back, you could subscribe to a couple newsletters and you'd get a lot of repetitive articles and news every day in them. And now you just can't even keep up. The news is just constant. And before it even gets to your email, it's practically outdated because somebody else has announced something. So the exciting thing about that is just the flood of new interest and new people into this space is super exciting for us. The amount of new retail on-ramps is super exciting. We spent so much time educating investors in this space. We trade in this space and we're just constantly talking to people, and it's a little scary, but it's also exciting that now we have PayPal. So people will start using crypto without actually understanding what crypto is, which is kind of a big moment, but it's also terrifying because that's a lot of power to put out there, but it's what we need to do in order to get people to really adopt cryptocurrency and dive in. So what we're seeing is just a lot of exciting things, which is just adding to our liquidity and our options for trading. And everything we see is up from here.
Wonderful. And Anuj, coming to you last here. Thank you, Sadie. What are you currently seeing happening in this? I know you spent a lot of time in the fintech space. A lot of your background has come from fintech and some of the outstanding things you've been able to do in India, but just generally throughout Southeast Asia. I mean, it's pretty incredible, your history, but what are you seeing in terms of these two areas and how things are advancing today?
I mean, I'm gonna echo a couple of points you said. Things are changing by the millisecond. You mentioned about PayPal, a company that is not it's not an innovative company. It's been around for ages, and even they realize that they have to upgrade. And anyone who has heard me before knows that I always say this one factor, that blockchain and new fintech companies are going to be the one that are going to force bank to upgrade. It's been a long time coming. We are in 2020, and there are still thousands of banks across the world that still don't have real-time deposit, that still don't support real-time transaction. And that's crazy. Just thinking about it. We sitting in India, I'm fairly used to a real-time transaction. If I make a transfer right now, I'm pretty sure that within the next 1 minute, the other person is going to get that deposit. But that doesn't happen in most of the countries. Almost 70% of the world does not have access to that kind of that technology. Fun fact, even in India, most of our ATMs are still running on Windows XP. That's an operating system that even Microsoft doesn't support right now. How are they going to get an upgrade? That leaves the entire system vulnerable to a system-wide attack. So the changes that are coming in, there's this article in Bloomberg today about the volatility in Bitcoin. And it actually shows how things are changing, how the tech advancement coming in every second is making the Bitcoin prices either rise up all of a sudden or drop down all of a sudden. That's why it's very important that if you are someone who's actively investing in cryptocurrencies, or as the Reserve Bank calls them in India, crypto assets, you got to make sure that you are doing it the right way, that you are weighing the risk reward ratio. And you got to make sure that you are staying safe. You got to understand the technology. One of the key components about any good technology is you don't have to tell the other person that I am using this technology. We don't hear someone say that, oh, I'm using X programming language to create the system. Only when Bitcoin reaches to that level, when it's no longer a buzzword that someone has to use, I'm using Bitcoin or blockchain into my system to get that investment from that VC. Until that's continuing, it's going to be an issue. But I'm fairly certain that over the course of next 5 to 7 years, Bitcoin is going to get more regulated. It's going to have more impact. It's going to have more use cases coming in. One particular one that always excites me is is blockchain in gaming industry. That's one thing that we don't talk as much about as compared to fintech. But yeah, that's one thing that's definitely exciting for me.
Let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. What is so impactful? What does blockchain within gaming mean? Why is it so exciting? How does it impact the applications? How does it impact the gaming experience overall? Kick us off. Let's talk about it.
So a truly decentralized system. We always use this word, a decentralized finance, decentralized fintech. But a truly decentralized system at this point in time is a unicorn. We have to all agree to that. And that's a good and a bad thing, because while we have this aspiration of this one system, which is not centrally controlled from one place, which is actively distributed among its user, it's still not an achievable goal at this point in time. Now, to get to that level, we gotta have adoption. We gotta have people using it. I remember just last month, a gentleman reached out to me who was trying to build a decentralized e-commerce platform, a system which does not accept any credit card, any banking transaction. It only accepts cryptocurrency. And their aspiration was to serve the people who are underbanked, people who don't have access to banking facilities, so that they can go online and order that. And my first question to that was, having that as a decentralized system means massive adoption, means an Amazon level of adoption. How are we going to get there? And here's the easy way, or probably the first way that it can happen. Gaming. It's exploded over the last 3 years. Esports is the industry that's grown like crazy over the last 3 years, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. We have console level gaming coming up on mobile. Call of Duty is a great example. I love those guys. I love Activision and what they're doing. The innovation that they're bringing in. I could personally never imagine playing Call of Duty from my console onto my mobile. And that's mind-blowing for me. Now that game, when it's deployed over 100 million users and they are all playing together, that's when you can create a truly decentralized network. That's not to mention the fact that when you're on a decentralized network, you can actually take the next step in esports competition.
Mhm.
In a gaming competition, when you are competing with a team, everything comes down to a millisecond. And in in that decentralized environment is where you can drop down that ping ratio by at least 20%. And that too is a conservative estimate. So that makes a big difference for not just the professional players, but the people who are watching it, the people who are enjoying it, and the gaming industry in itself. So,
And no,
so
please
yeah,
continue.
yeah, like I said, one thing where let's not get myopic about blockchain. It's a fantastic technology, but it's still in its very early phases. It's still in a cradle. We have to see where the use cases could be. We have seen potential use of it in fintech. We have seen potential use in various financial transactions. DeFi is exploding for a reason, but we can use it in gaming. We can use it in probably some form of healthcare, and that's still something that we have to explore.
Mhm. And Noble, I want to come right down to you. I mean, this is something you live, breathe, and eat as well. I mean, you love it. Tell us a little bit about, furthering on Anusha's point, blockchain and gaming. Why is this so important?
So I won't go, Anush made a good point, but I'm going to go the other direction. We're in a massive unemployment phase. And one of the things that's been super successful is the gaming industry. A lot of people are in games, playing games. Nintendo sold out of the Switch. Every single game console that's coming out for 2021 or 2020 Christmas is gone. You can't buy them. The new PlayStation 4, everything is gone. And in fact, this is where they sweep up for all they make their budget for the whole year right now. And they've done tremendous. The reality is blockchain is allowing people to actually earn and make money playing games. In the game, you don't have to be an esports aficionado or compete. You literally can stake, be in games, win items, take those particular items that you get, put them on NFTs. OpenSea is one of the most popular spaces right now for NFT resell and sale of non-fungible tokens. And it's taken the shadow economy that's been going on for years inside of, it's almost like a $7 billion industry that's been going on with betting on games, utilizing skins and then reselling those skins amongst each other. And Counter-Strike has finally, and then a lot of groups have said, okay, we don't want to be in that particular market where you're selling skins and using that to bet and trade and make money. But blockchain has been bit by bit filling in the space. And so people are now starting to understand that not only are they investing these time in these games, they actually are able to get these particular items in the game and own them from their activity, that they actually have some value from the time they spend, because up until now, no one has it. The average console game is a 70-hour investment. And at the end of it, okay, great, you won. Now people are starting to figure out a way to monetize and actually reward those people who continue to play and make that investment. And the cool part about it is now gaming is starting to become interchangeable, I guess, because you're able to take these items, put them on the blockchain. You can then take that same item and port it into a new game and move it. So ownership, listen, we live in a society where everything's for rent, right? We used to, when I grew up, we bought our CDs, so we owned our music, we owned our DVDs. Now everything's streaming. Everybody's renting the time. When you buy games, you don't really buy games. You actually have them downloaded to your console, or you don't even do that. You actually stream them online and then you rent them and you give them back. So this has become a way, particularly for millennials and the Gen Z and all these guys, to find ownership in the activities that they do that have a potential to gain value and assets. And so I look at it more as an alternative form of income. And a lot of people are doing it. There are people successfully getting these NFTs, staking them. There's some really fancy stuff going on where you can get an NFT, you can actually put crypto attached to it, and you can either keep the NFT or you can burn it and receive the. And there's well, you're talking about second by second, Kyle. There's so many crazy ways people have figured out how to generate and make money off of the gaming space that is projected to be like $20 billion just in blockchain. Nothing fancy, no esports, no betting, no competing, but just the betting side and then the ownership side of the things that you're getting in the games you play. That creates, nobody thought people would be making millions of dollars being quote unquote influencers on social media. This is the next phase of that, where people are going to be making millions of dollars off of these digital wares that don't exist.
Well, and there's so much more to unpack in there. And Sadie, Irina, I want to make sure you each have a chance to chime in here as well, because there's a lot of ways we can go down that path. So Sadie, let's start with you. Anything else to add on that point? I mean, we could go down gaming, we can go down NFTs, we can go down digital collectibles, we can get into trading. Anything that you have furthering on Noble's point?
Yeah, actually, I love what Noble's saying, talking about, how this is the new source of income for a huge population of gamers and young people. And, I come from the generation where my grandfather, he had a pension. And that was just what you did. You saved, you paid into your pension, and that was your retirement. And people, especially younger people right now, they don't have those options. They're just not around anymore for various reasons. So now the concept that they can earn money doing something that they're already doing and that they're good at and that they enjoy, and they can take that value, and I'm going to take it another step further and say they can take that value and they can then go and invest it. So the promise of cryptocurrency and blockchain is it's there for everybody and for, the common person, and not just for Wall Street. But the reality is right now, it's still really just for the Wall Street level of investors. It's really, really hard if you're a retail investor to go out there and buy, an index fund of cryptocurrencies, because you don't have time to go research that. And, that's, to me, that's the missing step. And that's something that we spend a lot of time thinking about, how at Strix Leviathan can we bring that opportunity to the retail investors out there, so that when those gamers can take the value from that they've earned from, their gaming time or whatever they're doing, and they can invest that and create a future for themselves, because that is the promise of cryptocurrency. And that is something that we think is going to happen, and we want to be part of making it happen. So I'm pretty excited about everything that Noble just said.
Absolutely agreed. And Irina, to you, anything else further to add?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with everybody. I think that one thing that I'm concentrating right now on, and I was concentrating on that before, it's just kind of the same thing. I've been trying to make sure that messaging is there for entrepreneurs and for investors as well, is that the true line and differentiation between permissioned and permissionless technology when you get involved with blockchain. And the reason it's important is because you must understand in an integration level whether it's going to work for the industry or not. For example, if you're going to be building solutions for integration into traditional finance, your permissionless solutions just do not work. The regulators will not allow that to happen. And while that can be a hope for the future, when we invest money and time into things, we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. And it is highly surprising to me that a lot of people that are even working in the industry do not understand the difference between permissioned and permissionless. And I know that sometimes it sounds like I repeat myself over and over again, but it is just so important. And we're seeing huge push in the permissioned technology and application of that technology into a traditional finance. The beauty of it is too, guys, remember anchoring. We can always anchor our permissioned blockchain solution into decentralized kind of a framework, right, to make sure that we still have verification layer. So to me, I think it's just a one message to keep right now in mind. Things are accelerating, they're getting much bigger. Once we break 17, get to 18, we start getting really, really close in the Bitcoin price to all-time high. And that usually means that the whole industry, all underlying cryptocurrency, whether it's permission, it's a permissionless, whatever it is, it kind of follows it and starts thriving. And so it's a busy time. It's going to be really, really, really busy, probably fast time again. We're at homes and not maximizing on the momentum that would be having right now. We'd be all traveling globally right now, probably in Singapore, right? Or I don't know. We'd be basically hopping the hunters right now, and everything would be very, very busy for us. So once we're unleashed, it's going to be very fast flash, right? With also going places, doing stuff. So, but I encourage to think about the solutions in the terms of permissioned and permissionless, and make sure that the applications that you're providing or you're investing in are actually applicable on a regulatory level for that.
And with that being said, on the regulation side, I mean, this opens up a whole nother can of worms for us around areas of opportunity, right? So the SEC did move up the amount that non-accredited investors could invest into companies from just over $1 million to around 5 million. And it looks like that might actually get pushed further here in the United States. But that being said, and all we've already talked about, where are each of you seeing the areas of opportunity really start to flourish around fintech and blockchain as well? And Anuj, let's start with you. Where are you seeing the areas of opportunity that people should be focusing on?
So if anyone knows about the fintech sector in India, they all know about one company, Paytm. It's the poster boy of fintech in India, 18 billion valuation, most valued private company in India right now. And I was just out today for Diwali shopping, and being in Delhi, Paytm is fairly common for us. I was at this one shop where I asked the guy if you accept Paytm. The cashier told me I don't because I'm afraid of fraud. That's a simple response they gave me. He said, I've heard some stories about people being scammed out of their money. I have heard stories from other shopkeepers about how someone pretending to be from that company came in and duped them out of some cash. Now, while of course that's a rare occurrence, I'm sure Paytm is doing a great job. They are one of the most secure system, but that the fact remains that one of the primary component for any business or any person to adopt a system is going to be security. And that's where I see no major progress being made by banking institution, no major progress being made by even the leading fintech companies. Two things which I always stand by when creating a financial ecosystem: to move people away from cash, you got to have two things. You have to make sure that there is ease in using that system, that I don't have to go through any complicated system. Oh, I always got to have my internet available. Cash doesn't need that. Cash doesn't care if you have internet on or not. So if you got to move people away from cash to a more digital environment, you got to have that ease in that system, and you got to make sure that it's secure. When I'm carrying cash, I just have to know that, all right, it's on me at all times. Likewise, if you are carrying some money in your wallet or in your bank account, you just got to be secure that, all right, I trust the system that's in place. And that's where the responsibility for the fintech companies come in. They have to be responsible to their users. They have to be responsible to their clients. It's easy to raise $100 million for an investor and just go out all crazy on your marketing budget and just doing ads on TV every alternate minute. But that doesn't change the fact if your system isn't good enough. So user management, security, and the ease to the system. That's the three component or the three pillars for me in any financial system. There is still progress being made on it, but it's really not up to the speed where I would expect it to be.
Absolutely. Arena, to you, current areas of opportunity, where else are you seeing people should be focusing? Thank you, Anuj.
I think that securitization, the tokenization of securities is finally going to take space, because we do have, because of these innovations that even you described with SEC and application of technology that regulators are allowing. And remember too, a lot of governments are right now racing to make some big announcements, some main shifts in the way they do capital markets, right? So the way they do finance, it's not very publicized, but it is happening, and we'll know soon enough. But I think that we started talking and we started getting excited about the tokenization of securities. It was as always, we tried to innovate, and that was just a little too early in the end of the last bull cycle. And we've spent a lot of time building the infrastructure for it. A lot of money is invested in it, and we'll see that thriving a lot. So I really like the tokenization of securities.
Noble, thank you, Irina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick with this NFT development. I think that's really the whole idea of a non-fungible token. I think plays across all schema. I think the biggest way that people can step in is to make things just more simple. When we were establishing, creating our own NFTs, we had to be on the EOS network. We ended up having to do like 4 or 5 different activities to be able to set it up, do the security, set the protocol. So to Anuja's point, cash still makes cash king, right? Ideally, you just like to be able to hand people the money and call it a day. So until we've made the integration, just so user friendly, and that there is a quote unquote customer service rep at the end to be able to fix the stuff that we make mistakes on. I always concerned overall about mass adoption, period. It's too onerous. And for those people who can make the technology that just makes things so much more simple and then gives the customer support, they'll completely win this space hands down overnight. And to Sadie's point, until that happens, it'll stay inside the institutional people's hands because they have the ability to hire 20 people to be able to manage the tech side and to manage the passwords and to keep the private keys and the public keys and all this other stuff in place to be able to make it successful. So it's a very difficult proposition. So without the security component, and more importantly, without an ease of use, mass adoption becomes a very, very difficult proposition.
Mm-hmm. Sadie, over to you. Same question.
Yeah, so where we see the areas of opportunity, I think last time I was on here, I said that it was custody, and it was right after that we saw a bunch of custody announcements. So that was really exciting to see custody growing, and with the multiple new retail on-ramps, we're going to see, a lot of new crypto users, digital asset users in the space. And this is kind of top of mind because we're working on a blog post about this right now, but where I hope the industry is going to go with this flood of new retail investors is to be more transparent. There's this weird false promise somewhat about digital assets because, being publicly available information, immutable, but in general, hedge funds in this space have continued to have that, private black box mentality where investors still don't really understand what they're holding. And one question we used to get a lot at the beginning was, but this is all on the blockchain. Like, how come I can't have visibility into what you guys are trading? And the answer to that is regulation. There's a lot of structure around what you can and can't tell your investors in real time because the markets are constantly changing. But we built, in our software, we built a portal so all of our investors can log in and see a ton of information. And we kind of thought that'd be sort of a standard in the digital asset space because it's all based on blockchain technology. And we've discovered that it isn't. And we hope more people will move that way because we found it super valuable in building trust with our retail investors. And I think that's a big hesitation for people entering the space. So if there is a bigger focus on transparency, I think we'll see more and more people venture into the retail market. And I hope that's where the industry is going next year.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, we're almost at time here, so I want to make sure everyone gets their closing thoughts in as well, and also gets a chance to say where everyone can find you to continue the conversation. Anuj, let's start with you. Closing thoughts, anything further to add, and then of course, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Sure. So closing thoughts again, the 3 pillars that I mentioned, the ease of use. Any system that's being made right now has to be easy for for user to adopt, to actually entice them to get on the platform instead of just using some marketing material. I am seeing some great changes coming in regulations as well, even in India, where I don't get to see that many changes of, or the Reserve Bank being that open. They are coming up with new prepaid instrument. They are allowing more companies to become a fintech companies. Quoting you from earlier, every company wants to be a fintech company. That includes some taxi companies as well. Let's not forget, Ola, which started off as a competition for Uber, is also a fintech company now. So yeah, all of a sudden, the year has been a year of change. So things are changing. I'm expecting more regulations to open up, more governments, more institution to adopt the system, and hopefully we'll have a lot more great things coming up in the future. If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can check me up on LinkedIn. My name is right here, so you can check me up, or you can reach out to me on Twitter. That's ANUUJ with my first name, or just drop me a mail at anuj@yellowsapphiretech.com. Happy Diwali to everyone once again. Please do reach out to me if you need any help.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Arena, to you, closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you?
Well, my closing thoughts is that remember that the bull run is always more than we could imagine. It's always wild. It's always exciting. And it births a lot of amazing innovation and adoption for the next cycle. So buckle up, because we're going, and we don't know how it's going to look. We don't know what is going to come up, but what we know that there are more than one rocket pushing this behind us. And with that, be careful. And most importantly, if you are not a holder of cryptocurrency, don't think about it as investment. Think about it as education to yourself. So grant yourself an amount. I don't know, if you have $100, go to Coinbase and buy $100 of cryptocurrency. Buy like $50 of whatever, of Bitcoin, buy some Ether or whatever you want. The important thing about it is that don't think that you're making an investment. It's not an investment. Just make this a learning tool. And then also you become part of a cool people who has the currency. You can start understanding it. You can start seeing, maybe you can even make solutions, and something sparks in your mind that's like, you become the next Jeff Bezos, right? I don't know, but go and do it, because this is the reality of our life. And don't worry about speculation of the prices. Do it now. Don't wait until something happens.
Absolutely. Noble, to you. Thank you, Arena. Where can everyone find you? And then also closing thoughts.
Easy to find me, LinkedIn, Noble Dracone, on Twitter, @Dracone, which is my last name. It's typed up there. I agree with Arena. You know, the future is now. You know, it's easy to kind of sit around and wait for the next big thing, but really the next big thing is happening all around us. And you just got to immerse yourself, and you're not going to get it right. You're going to get it more wrong than often. But the reality is it can't be ignored. You know, people ignored Bitcoin when it came out, to many people's dire detriment. You know, everyone's doing the backward 2020 gaze. So, you know, don't armchair quarterback it, just participate. And, you know, whether you're a founder, or whether you're an investor, or whether you're a developer, you just have to just jump 2 feet in and ride the wave.
Wonderful. And last but not least, Sadie, closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, so I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn or strixleviathan.com, also strixfund.com. And I'll echo the sentiment of just dive in. One thing I tell people a lot is, you know, this market's huge. It's in our view, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still pretty small and it's growing like crazy. And you don't have to be a blockchain engineer to get into this space. All of these companies, they need accountants, they need operations people, they need sales people, they need marketing people, website people. They need all kinds of people. You don't have to have a blockchain specific skill set. If you're excited about it, if you're curious about it, look at what else is out there. Don't rule yourself out just because you're not an expert, because I don't think anyone could be an expert in all the different areas that are out there. So just dive in, like everybody is saying. Find something that works for you and start learning.
Outstanding. All, thank you so very much for your thoughts and insights today. And again, happy Diwali, Anuj, and to all out there as well. As you like what you heard today, make sure you click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thank you again, audience, for tuning in today. If you'd like to be on a show like today and joining investors like we had today speaking about fintech and blockchain, do reach out. We'd love to have you and love to find the right set of topics, industries, and investors for you to speak with as well. Entrepreneurs, again, it's the last chance here before we push to the end of the year and switch over to 2021. Join us on the virtual stage we have here at VCTV. Reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right spot for you to pitch us as investors and our live audience your product, company, and or service to get real-time feedback, exposure, and build great relationships as well. A huge thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. To my guests, thank you so much again for all your time today. Sadie, Arena, Anuj, Noble, pleasure. Everyone have a great weekend. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott for VCTV. We'll be back here next week with tons more episodes as well. Take care, everybody.